and most of all, being proud of our country and unapologetic for our history. We need to honor our past and our shared values. We need to live out the dream that started with John A. McDonald. Yes, I said John A. McDonald.
Okay, so PP wants to talk about John A. McDonald, so I thought, hey, that sounds like fun. Let's do that. For those of you who don't know, John A. McDonald was Canada's first Prime Minister, and hey, that sounds nice, right? Getting back to our roots, getting back to the way Canada used to be. Let's see what that means. First of all, John A. McDonald was married to his first cousin. Interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about his attitudes back then. So in 1885, John A. McDonald took the right to vote away from men racialized as Chinese on the grounds that they were biologically different from Canadians and that their presence threatened the Aryan character of Canadian society. The Aryan character, if that doesn't give you pause, I don't know what would, because that's guy in Germany used to talk like this. I'm just saying. This is taken from Timothy Stanley's book called John A. MacDonald, the Chinese and Racist State Formation in Canada. Let's take a look at the Civil War, because apparently he had a little bit of involvement there. So during the American Civil War, which was 1861 to 1865, Montreal served as a refugee to the Confederates, the Southern Americans who wanted to keep slavery and secede from the United States Union. The Southern slavers found a friend in John A. MacDonald. So he was a friend. And you might be saying, hey, everybody was racist back then. Well, from the Huffington Post, apparently John A. MacDonald was way more racist than his contemporaries. For John A. MacDonald, Canada was the country that restored the pure Aryan race to its past glory. Lest it be thought that John A. MacDonald was merely expressing the prejudice of his age, it should be noted that he were among the most extreme views of his era. According to Timothy Stanley's research, he was the only politician in the parliamentary debates to refer to Canada as Aryan, and to justify legalized racism on the basis of not of alleged cultural practices, but on the grounds that Chinese and Aryans were separate races, or species, actually. And then we can move on to some research here by Abigail Bacan, a political studies professor at Queen's University. John A. MacDonald's policies of forced starvation helped clear First Nations from the prairies in order to build the railway, according to James Dashook. An excerpt from his book, Clearing the Plains, Disease, Politics of Starvation and the Loss of Aboriginal Life. For years, government officials withheld food from Aboriginal people until they moved to their appointed reserves, forcing them to trade freedom for rations. Once on the reserves, food placed in ration houses was withheld for so long that much of it rotted, while the people it was intended to feed fell into a decades-long cycle of malnutrition, suppressed immunity, and sickness from tuberculosis and other diseases. Thousands died. And let's just look at one more thing. This is a quote from John A. MacDonald talking about our Indigenous people. When the school on the reserve, the child lives with its parents, who are savages, and though he may learn to read and write, his habits and training modes of thought are Indian. He is simply a savage who can read and write. It has been strongly impressed upon myself, as head of the department, that Indian children should be withdrawn as much as possible from the parental influence, and the only way to do that would be to put them in a central training industrial school where they will acquire the habits and modes and thoughts of white men. This is who PP wants us to look up to. And this is who PP himself quoted. Just please think about this, because John A. MacDonald was a white supremacist.